Welcome to Season 2 of the Parkinson's podcast Unfiltered, with hosts Heather Kennedy and Kat Hill, brought to you by the Davis-Phinney Foundation. Heather is originally from New York and was diagnosed with young-onset Parkinson's in 2011 when she was 40. Kat is originally from a small town in California and was diagnosed in 2015 when she was 48. Heather and Kat have been friends since they met at the World Parkinson Congress in 2019. In this season, Heather and Kat will be joined by Chris Kruger, a Davis-Phinney Foundation staff member who was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2020 when he was 37. In each episode this season, Heather and Kat will dive deep into the raw emotion and realities of living with Parkinson's as they share stories and discuss questions they've received from people in the Parkinson's community. If you have a question to ask or story to share, please visit dpf.org/unfiltered. That's dpf.org/unfiltered.
Here we are, you guys. We've been kind of out of commission for a little bit, and we've been wondering where we were, and we've realized we've been really immersed in Parkinson's Awareness Month. Like, are we aware of Parkinson's? I should think so. We've all been a little lost in it this month, but we haven't forgotten about our listeners, and we have not forgotten about this podcast.
And the nice thing about Davis-Phinney Foundation is that you make things okay for people right now. Right now, in the moment, coming as we are.
Coming as we are. And it's been a full month, hasn't it, friends? It's been a full month. And I'll tell you what, it's sort of a puzzle just to get three of us with young onset Parkinson's together in a room with our electronics working and all on the same schedule and able to access everything.
Hold on while I try to put my restricting socks on. For 20 to 30 cc's, whatever that means.
Yeah. So with the appropriate amount of pressure, just hard enough to make it almost impossible to get on one's foot. All this wonderful, adaptive, helpful equipment.
Should we do a play-by-play here? The sock has now officially been thrown across the room.
Exactly.
And Heather is vigorously trying to retrieve the other sock. It's total chaos.
Cats flying in the air from her house. The cat's getting the sock, and the sock is...
And it's not the right cat. It's the cat with a C. I told you they were running the internet. In other words, life isn't going as we planned. The only reason I'm here today is because Kat and Chris graciously made arrangements that allowed me to participate. I could not type, so they made it into text instead of email. I could not be here on time, so they chatted without saying, "Where is she? And how dare she waste her time like this?" They knew that it was Parkinson's that was preventing me from getting to the computer. And then a mouse, speaking of cats, I needed batteries, so I had to find a cord to plug it in. It took another 25 minutes. As I crawled across the room.
Yeah. Oh, my friend. Well, we've had some questions from listeners. I'm really excited that folks are writing in because we want to know how we can not just help each other, Heather, Chris, and I, although we do that and are currently supporting each other, but we want to know what we can do to help make life out there maybe a little bit more livable for you all. Chris, you had a couple questions, didn't you? Or a question that was written in about from one of our earlier episodes.
Yeah, we had a question come in from one of our listeners, KW, and KW wanted to know about our Home Alone episode. They were hoping that we would talk about what a person with young onset Parkinson's and, the mid stages of Parkinson's do to combat loneliness when their partner, if they have one, and their friends are still working or are just otherwise busy. I thought we might talk about this because I know that, Heather, you've been dealing with some things related to this, just trying to find ways to get things done while you're dealing with being in a place. You're in your family, of course, but you're also living in your own spot and people are busy. So you don't always have somebody with you. So maybe we can tackle that for today. And then we'll come back soon with another more robust and full episode answering the rest of the questions we received because we have received a lot. Let me just plug also, if you have a question for us, please send it to us at dpf.org/unfiltered, dpf.org/unfiltered. So what do we do about this problem of living with young onset Parkinson's and being in the middle of the process of figuring out Parkinson's and combating loneliness? How do we do it? What do we do? Do we have any advice? Do we even know?
I have some advice.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Here it is. Ready? I have no idea. No. My advice is that to isolate yourself will make this disease progress quicker. And you have friends calling you and telling you about their busy schedules or their travel plans, and they mean well. They're just trying to invite you into the fray, but they forget that you can't actually walk to the door or get the keys or drive out of this space. So unfortunately, there's no way for you to join the real life that's happening. It's like being the kid looking out the window. So what I would say you can do is you start making plans on your terms. You ask, do you have an hour that's flexible? Could we meet at a flexible time? Would you mind coming here to pick me up? Be very specific. Say, I would love to see you, and I don't have a way to get to you. Or I would love to have a meal with you. Hey, by the way, I'm gluten-free. No pressure. Something. Just be very specific. You just ask for what you need. And then also think about them. If they're busy and you have a time of the day that's not particularly busy for you, maybe you can offer to do something that would make their life a little easier.
I think it gets to be really difficult for us and for the people who care about us to really understand what's happening in our realities. And I think, Heather, I really loved that. Telling people what you need, like, I'm not driving right now, or I can't drive right now, and I would really love to see you. Could you drop by sometime on this day? I'm wide open. Know that it may be hard for me to get to the door. So text me when you're here and I'll just say, come in.
That's a great idea.
People don't realize what we're actually going through sometimes in our homes. And that's partly because I don't know about you guys, but I don't like sharing the hard stuff necessarily. It's hard to share the hard stuff. It's hard to say, I don't really go meet people out at night anymore because I don't feel good the end of the day. I don't have enough energy. I don't trust myself to drive at night anymore. Or for you, Heather, it's got to be lonely. So you make plans. I love that. Are there other things you do to help with the kind of being lonely and scared sometimes?
I try to promote others and their work and be interested in what they're doing. And I ask a lot of questions just out of natural curiosity. So when it comes time for them to be interested in what I want to talk about, which Parkinson's as a text or as a topic is not terribly interesting, but the part about it being extremely unpredictable.
Yes.
That to be something.
Yes.
So you can just say, hey, look, I'm not being rude to you. I'm just having trouble with my timing. The clock is not really my friend right now. It seems to be spinning out of control. Everybody else is moving at warp speed, and I'm like the slow version of the bionic woman or man. I'm just in the slow version, and everyone else is whipping about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that, Heather, the getting out of our own heads. We've talked about this before, that sometimes those scary thoughts, the middle of the night, everything's worse in the middle of the night, right? And then the sun comes up, and somehow just the act of the sun rising sometimes sheds just that little bit of sunlight and helps the shift happen so that we can get out of ourselves. Being interested and curious about others, I like that. One of the things that I've done is I've tried to set up my living situation so that I have little areas. I'm a putterer. I don't like sitting still for any one length of time. My body doesn't always let me do that anymore. And I try to set up little stations, like I'm always doing like a little crossword thing at my dining room table. And then at my little kitchen table, I try to have something artsy going on.
I love that.
So that it's all set up and like I don't have to get everything out and make the steps to do it, but they're little stations. And even I missed gardening. I loved gardening at my old place. I had 1 million pots and
oh, you did.
I did.
And there were so many rooms. It was so interesting. It was the colors you chose in, the way you had it designed. So it was like a dream house.
Well, thank you, Heather. It was really fun, but it was a lot of upkeep, right?
Oh, yeah, it's huge.
So I've scaled way back, but I still love my little corner of gardening, and I do it, and I have like all my things there. I have little pots, a little bit of potting soil. I have a little shelf that I can just open up and do my little putterings in. But I have it set up for myself so that the barrier is not, oh my gosh, I don't have the energy to pull all that out. So I try to set up my surroundings so that if I'm feeling down, I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling isolated, I know that I can go to these little stations and get myself out of my head and do something about it.
Even get lost in it.
Yes, get lost in it. A book on, I always say a book on tape because that I'm old.
A great podcast.
A great podcast.
How about, Hidden Brain, or How to Be a Better Human, or this Jungian life, which Alexa will put on this Jungian life, this credit-ian life, this young thug life, everything about this Jungian life because it's Jung.
Talking about young thug there, I think you just referenced Heather. It occurs to me as you guys were just talking that, Heather, you and I have sort of stumbled into a kind of setting up a station in the house, approach to connecting with each other. The other day we texted each other and it was like, it took a half a second, really. I mean, it wasn't that big of a text, but I realized I liked this song and I sent it to Heather. I said, I think you might like this song. And then Heather was like, music saving my life again. And then she sent me a song and it was just so easy for us to get in touch with each other. And there was no pressure on it. If I heard back from Heather an hour later, I didn't care. If it was 2 days later, that's great too. I just thought this is something Heather would like. And she sent me something back that she thought I would like. And it was the art station in my kitchen, except it connected me to Heather.
Mm-hmm.
That's lovely. Thank you for mentioning that. Sometimes I just scream back and forth between friends. I'll say, ah, and she'll say, oh. And then the next is like, ba, 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 ba. And the next is like swearing, Get each other's vibe.
I think that's important, though, to just go and though it's hard to stay in touch, maybe the way you get in touch and the way you connect with people is different now. Even though it's different for you and I, Heather. I mean, the way we used to communicate is so much different. And we've only known each other for, 3 years or something like that. But it's so much different now than it was initially. And that's okay. I'm still having a lot of fun with our relationship. It's really great. I love when I get songs from you. It's awesome. And, you're not the only person with whom I have that new sort of structure in my relationships, with whom I have new structure in my relationships. But to me, that's important. You got to be willing to be a little flexible and find a way to give yourself a way to stay in touch regularly, even if it's not the way you used to.
And you guys are great at that. I love that. And, one of the other things I do is like a Pinterest thing on my phone, so that even when I'm not very mobile or able to function really well, I usually can scroll a little bit with my fingers or with my mouse and my computer, and I can at least have some boards that I'm working on to keep my brain. I hope that helps our friend that wrote in, because I think it is lonely.
May I add one more thing that Kat and Chris have both repeated several times to me when we were in private? You have to really enjoy your own company. You really have to find things that you can do, you thoroughly enjoy, that would be enhanced by the presence of another. Because you could turn to them and say, did you see that? They're not going to have another season of Disclaimer. What kind of travesty is this? I would like to see the second season of Disclaimer. Or Losing Alice. I never want that to end. It's so wonderful. But when you're alone, you can still enjoy those things. Tell your friends later, or you become a prolific texter maybe.
Another thing, just to say that you can also find something that's new for you, or resuscitate an old interest. That's a weird way to say that. And I want to shout out to our friends, the Qualms, who recently, we released a video on the DPF YouTube page with them. And the shout out was made to playing an instrument every day as an intervention. Now, that may not be what you want to do, but for me, I actually just was able to get another guitar into my life, and I've been playing that again. And I haven't played for a while, but I'm not maybe as capable as I was in an earlier part of my life, but I'm still getting a lot out of it. So it's not only about, the things you might do with somebody directly. It's the way that somebody can bring a new idea to you, that even in a way that you might not be aware of or expect. So I ended up with a new guitar in my life, in part because of that interview we recorded with the Qualms. So thanks for that.
While your guitar gently weeps.
It doesn't sound anything like that.
I loved that posting, by the way, Chris. That was inspiring.
What do you call it?
The guitar?
Yeah.
It's unnamed at present. We haven't had a long enough relationship. It hasn't spoken to me in that way yet.
They're only on the second date, Heather.
Got it.
That means different things to different people. I realize
I know,
that.
right? You're gonna be the next Harry Styles.
That's right.
So I asked my son the other day, I said, when did you join a boy band?
Oh, dear.
Look at that haircut.
You're seeing a picture on screen. Oh, my gosh.
He's not answered me yet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Heather's children has beautiful, beautiful adult children. I love it. My son, who's very long-haired and very, very long bearded. His partner took a great shot of him. So, and it's like an Oregon meme now. It says Baywatch on it.
Nice.
All right. Well, on that note, maybe we should wrap for the day, and we can leave our audience thinking about us all running down the beach in slow motion.
Yeah.
That's right. With long, flowy beard and hair. Yes, that's right.
Nice. This is a place to come home to.
Yeah. Well, you guys are home for me, and thank you. And thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Parkinson's Podcast Unfiltered. Remember, if you'd like to send a question to Heather and Kat, you can do so by visiting dpf.org/unfiltered. That's dpf.org/unfiltered. This content includes information, insights, and opinions from our Parkinson's community. The views expressed are those of individual participants and do not constitute medical advice. This content is not intended to substitute for the guidance, advice, or recommendations of your personal healthcare providers.